I'd like to call the Borough Work Session Monday, September 18th to order. Let's see. It's a work session. Welcoming comments, opening remarks. Welcome everybody to the Bellefonte Borough Work Session. No council action. Making motions and approvals is taken during this session. Mr. Bernier, do you have a trivia question for us tonight?
I do. It's Pennsylvania related. What
Pittsburgh Steelers.
is the
Sorry.
name of the Russian royalty who came to central Pennsylvania and started a Catholic colony right here in central Pennsylvania?
Clooney.
I have a hint if nobody guesses.
What'd you say? Clooney.
There's a state park and a lake named after him.
Gallitzin.
That's just part of it. What's
Prince.
That's right. Russian named Prince Gallitzin.
Okay, good question.
That was a good one.
Seen that guy? Come on. It was right there. All you do is Google it. Son of a.
Better stick to your book.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first item for discussion is PSU Sustainability Program. Ilona Ballerich, I'm sorry.
Yep, you got it. That's me.
Oh, well, welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks, morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I put my business card at each of your places. If you want to reach out to me, please do so anytime. Email is best. I thought I'd give you a quick overview about the Sustainable Communities Collaborative. It is a program of Penn State Sustainability, no longer the Sustainability Institute. Oh, that's what you're, okay. And so what I do is I pair up Penn State classes with community partners, ideally a local government partner or a nonprofit. On occasion, we work with a business partner as well, to help that partner, either get some baseline information, some new ideas, some guidance on how to solve a sustainability-related issue. Next slide, please. One important thing no need to click back. We are not trying to replace work by professionals. After all, that's the business we are in, training the next professionals, right? So this is really just an effort to build capacity, primarily within our local communities and community partners. So I am housed within Penn State Sustainability. So we define sustainability as the simultaneous pursuit of human health and happiness, environmental quality, economic well-being for this and future generations. So you see, it's a really broad, holistic approach. The way I like to describe it, it's wanting everything good for a community so that it can survive into the future with the opportunities we want the next generation to have. Next slide, please. We use the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals to frame our work. Because it's so broad and all-encompassing, these help us to kind of divvy it up, to give it more perspective, because we are dealing with undergraduate students most of the time. Comprehensive problems often require comprehensive solutions, thinking in different ways. And quite frankly, sometimes, especially post-COVID, it is really difficult for students to grasp these bigger concepts. So this helps us to keep it in the realm of sustainability, but really focused, right? They can say, oh, my project is about sustainable cities and communities. It is about a town, maybe a roadway within that town being more accessible. So next slide. So the benefits for the community is students become almost subject matter experts. They provide research, that's what they are supposed to do as part of their class, and this is all based on what they do in class. This isn't voluntary stuff that they, get an extra credit point for. This is curricular work they have to do in order to get a grade in their class that they are taking. We work across all disciplines, all colleges, so it's not just engineering, but it's, for example, marketing, it is business, graphic design, architecture, you name it. We find that especially young students, freshmen and sophomores, are really good at presenting new ideas. And as somebody a little bit older, I find their ideas often very refreshing because they have a different skill set already than what I do. And I think all of us here in this room can acknowledge that, right? So looking towards the future through their eyes sometimes is really exciting. The bottom goal is really for students to support the community partner and really improve everybody's understanding of sustainability, broaden that understanding. Next slide, please. For the students, this broadening of understanding sustainability, that it's not just about the environment, clean water, clean air, and so on, is naturally a goal for us. But we also want them to connect it back to their major, to understand how, let's say, a marketing student has a role in this work. You need to market sustainability if you really want it to stick like you need to market anything else, right? And the third point, real life experience, is really, really important. This past year in particular, actually this semester, there has been a huge increase of a call for our students to get that kind of real world experience as part of their education. And there's also been an increased interest from our faculty to provide that as part of their classroom learning. Next slide, please. So I did a little bit of checking, what have we done? I've been in this position for 6 or 7 years. When I started, we did the Muscle Lane Stormwater Control and Composting, called it Recipe Project. It is the poster child for my program to the state, and it worked exactly how we hope this program should work, right? Students did a 2-semester course, they studied the problem, they designed, came up with potential solutions. They created probably a 100-page report on this. Dawn took that, plugged it into a grant application, and the Borough of Bellefonte received, what, $340,000 to implement that project because Bellefonte could demonstrate that, A, they understood the problem, right, as part of this grant application. We know what's wrong. Help us fix it. And that was recognizable, right? And so talk about capacity building. Like I said, this is our gold star example. We worked with your school district here on a school garden and farmhouse retrofit with architecture. Currently, we got a Big Spring Bottling 2 at the bottom of the list that was preceded by a Big Spring Water Bottling 1. A couple of years ago, we did some stormwater management presentations for homeowners, a solar feasibility study or two maybe. One year we looked at historic community communications plan. We looked at the light blue cover on your Big Spring water supply. We redesigned the armory for a police station. And I can't remember the rest.
We just lost it.
So, anyways, we did a lot of projects. I'm really pleased that this year we just got word that Bill Elmendorf has some students. It's not through my program, but again, we have created a relationship, right? I'm for lack of other words, your liaison to Penn State. Bill Elmendorf is a professor in forestry who has a couple students available to do your long-awaited tree inventory. There is a fee, and Dawn can speak to all of that. Like I say, it doesn't directly come through my department. We are looking at the second half of the water bottling project. That one, the idea was you have this water source, how can you share it with the public? At the time, the students came up with a solution. They created the whole setup, how you put water into bottles and get it out and whatnot. And we didn't really want to deal with plastic bottles. And there was this issue, well, glass bottles are really heavy. And from the sustainability point of view, you know, there are trade-offs. You're going to spend a lot more gas hauling glass bottles around than you do plastic bottles, right? So that whole project was, you know, kind of tabled for a little while. It reemerged because I had a class that was interested in really doing a life cycle analysis and what can you do. So they are also, I think, checking out exactly, you know, where could this project go? What are the potential for really sustainably sharing this fantastic resource that you as a community have with the rest of your residents? We did a parking study a year ago or so. We also looked at some sustainability logos, newsletter ideas, and did some erosion control, dam removal, exploration for Spring Creek down at Talleyrand Park. Next
So
slide.
Just real quick,
Yeah.
on that one, it was a 3-part project. We only did part 1. There's still 2 more parts to go. When ever council wants to look at them.
So if you want to see, since you do have a project this semester, although that's a 2-semester project as well, you won't have the final findings by December 7th. Do come to the expo on December 7th. It's co-hosted by State College, it's in the Borough Building in State College, 5 to 7. It's a fairly informal event. It's meant to celebrate what the students have done. We'll have finger foods. It's a pretty hopping place. And you can, some of our partners like it as kind of an idea shopping opportunity. See the work that we've done with other communities, and maybe, you know, maybe you'll say, that's interesting, haven't thought of it, but maybe we can go there too. And that's all I have for you, to introduce you to SCC, my program, these opportunities and what we've done in the past. So I do look forward to continued work with you. And yeah, I'm just an email away. Any questions?
Being one that has read a few of the reports, they're very well done. And the water bottling study was super. The kids that looked at the big spring with the cover, excellent job. We are so thankful for you guys to take on projects that really help our borough.
Yes.
It's just
Thank
really,
you.
we really appreciate it very much.
Thank you. It would be great if you put that in writing and send it to my boss. Not for my
We-
purposes, but outreach.
We can do that.
is-
I'd be happy
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
Who's your boss?
My immediate boss is Laura Fowler. She is a direct report to Provost Schwartz. So we moved to the Provost office.
We'd be more than happy to do that.
That would be fabulous.
Yes.
As you may have heard through the grapevine, there are lots of changes within Penn State.
Sure.
So we moved to the Provost's office, have a different reporting line. Lots of things are changing in terms of the way we are approaching sustainability at Penn State. There is now a much more, I want to say, direct and overt commitment to sustainability than has been in the past. The university wants to be recognized for its leadership in this arena. It is already one of the most advanced research institutions in this field of sustainability. In terms of alternative energy, they are amongst, we're not the best, but we're getting there. A lot happens kind of behind the scenes. So, and right now, quite frankly, the push is to work with communities, to partner, to access some of the resources that are out there to make good things happen for our communities. So, happy to work with you, and it's been a pleasure, and we'll continue, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item B, Spring Creek Watershed Commission proposed budget increase. Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Good.
I love Bellefonte, always have.
Okay. We have a lot of real estate for sale in town.
I'm sorry?
We have real estate for sale in town.
Well, I'm here as a citizen representative from, in my case, Ferguson Township to the Spring Creek Watershed Commission. Many of you probably know a little or a lot. I won't go into a great amount of detail, but anybody that has questions about the commission, it was started originally by Center County back in the mid-90s following a visit from a group of internationals who suggested that Spring Creek was so special that we should do certain things to acknowledge it. And the Watershed Commission functioned within Center County government for 10 and a half, 11 years. And then municipalities in the watershed decided the work of enhancing and protecting and acknowledging the importance of Spring Creek was so important that 12 municipalities came together under the state's Intergovernmental Agreement Act and created the commission. So there are a total of 12 municipalities in the group. It's the largest of its kind in Center County, and it includes both folks that are in the upper portions of the watershed, like where I live. Spring Creek is not right nearby, but I actually live out near Scotia, and we're a big sponge. So no streams or much running water immediately around me, but a big spring or a sponge that sends water directly to the big spring. Of the 12, there's only 5 where Spring Creek actually flows through the municipality, but the other 7 are contributors by way of tributaries. Slab Cabin Run up in College, Harris, and Ferguson, or Buffalo Run along below the ridge. You folks know the familiarity of these streams, the Logan Branch that comes down certainly out of Potter and Walker in Spring Township. So that's what the organization, how it's made up. We work to try and facilitate projects, and for a number of years there was a lot of work that went into planning so that we would have input from the municipal members. And now our focus is getting together municipal engineers in a committee that can look at ways for municipalities to do joint projects that are not limited by jurisdictional boundaries or geopolitical boundaries. We have municipalities that, along with Penn State, that are looking at ways to do projects that will share pollution credits from stormwater pollution, whether they're an MS4, mixed sewer system, one of the weirdest acronyms you come across, in certain areas in the center region in Spring Township, or municipalities that border Penn State that aren't in an urbanized area but could share credits. We also have a municipal authorities committee that has brought together water authorities as well as sewer authorities to work together to try and find solutions that come up that normally we wouldn't in municipal authorities bring together UAJA, State College Borough Water Authority, College Township Water Authority, and Spring Benner Walker Authority to talk about how do we help Benner Township fix their water situation. They're in real need of new wells. So we've been working on that quite a bit. And as part of the responsibilities of the Watershed Commission, we send out an annual budget, and that's been presented to all 12 members. We've made a point to, with our elected, we have from each municipality 2 representatives, an elected official, in your case, Randy, who's acting as our vice chair, has been very active, really helpful, and then Ralph serves as your alternate. But each municipality has 2, an elected official and an alternate. And we're making the rounds with municipalities to look at the budget that we've presented, the work that we've been active with, let you know what our work plan intends to be in the coming year, and get your input on how you think things are going. And in July, we adopted the budget that's been presented to you unanimously by the 12 municipalities, and then following the input from the members, our next step would be to agree to send out the invoices for municipal contributions. They come out in the end of Q3, beginning of Q4 for the 2024 year. And in this particular case, we were urged by members of the executive committee and others from member municipalities that in order to do more, we should ask for a nickel increase in the budgeted amount. Currently, and it's always been that municipalities contributed on a per capita basis. And since the beginning, I think the first year in 2008, it was 6.5 cents, and then the commission cut it back to a third, or 3.3 cents for the next 8 years. And for the last 6 years, it's been a dime. And that generates about $12,000 throughout the 12 members. And this year, we're coming back and strongly encouraged by Randy and others to ask for 15 cents per capita to do more project-related work in 2024. So I've talked a lot, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's good, it's all good. Is that, do you have more, or should we ask questions now, or what?
This would probably be a good time to ask questions.
Okay.
I just want to quickly clarify, I think Doug's.
Yeah, I'm the alternate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
okay, I said.
My apology.
I go to your authority.
Ralph has been so active.
Well, I try to help out.
That's no worries, Kevin.
Yes, I apologize. That's my
I
oversight.
have just real quick questions.
Yes.
Who are the participating local authorities in your Spring Creek watershed? Because the reason I asked the question, Kevin, is we haven't been approached at the Bellefonte Authority to be a member that I recall. So I might be wrong.
No, no,
But I was just curious to know who those authorities are. I think I heard you say UAJA.
Well,
You said Benner Spring.
they're not charter members and hold membership designation.
Okay.
The term participating there has simply meant municipal authorities that have been working with us
Okay.
on water and wastewater related issues.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Another one
None of
was,
the UAJA or Spring Benner Walker, they don't pay dues. We've
Yeah.
just brought them together to get their expertise
Okay.
to help us improve things.
understood.
Yeah.
Completely.
And Randy and I went to the Bellefonte Borough Authority, and I'd like to start to encourage there to be, it's quite a bit, as you know, from the watershed, and we're doing our best to build trust. In the upper reaches of the watershed, it's quite a different situation than it is down here relative to source water.
Yeah.
Up there, all of the source water's below ground.
Yeah.
In Potter Township and Harris Township, Spring Creek is largely a small, just becoming a stream that you
Right.
could step over. And the source water that people drink is all in the underground aquifer.
Mhm.
Now, when you get down here, that doesn't make a lot of sense with Big Spring and being downstream from Benner Spring and a lot of the other really large-scale springs that make Spring Creek what it is here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One other one. Define and describe AmeriCorps member. I see that it says, I guess AC duties means AmeriCorps. And it
Yes,
says administration, manage, coordinate, community outreach, project coordinator, third-party contractor. So I'm just, that's a pretty broad expense or item. So for me, I would like you to define that to me and describe
yeah,
sort of what that is,
sure.
as quickly as you can. I
Yes,
mean,
yes. To date, the Watershed Commission has never had, other than a third-party contractor that helps us with meetings and a little bit on the website, we've never had staff.
Okay,
Or, except with, I take it back,
AmeriCorps.
except for special projects. What we're trying to do with this budget is look to work with the AmeriCorps program to get, it's called an AmeriCorps member, that would come and work with the Spring Creek Watershed Commission to do some of the things that you mentioned.
okay.
That's a person that wants to be involved in many of the projects, like Ilona talked about,
Mhm.
relative to community engagement. It's State College Borough has had them for years.
Okay.
Where I worked at Clearwater, we had a number of them. There, I don't know if Bellefonte has had AmeriCorps members, but it's the domestic idea of the Peace Corps,
Okay.
okay?
So is this
And-
sort of like a subcontractor then, or is
No,
this actually going to
it's-
be a staff position?
It would be a paid position and under joint supervision by the AmeriCorps program
Okay.
and by the commission. It's a generally young adult that is looking to expand their skills and, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. One other one. Education and outreach, $2,500. Is that like an honorarium you pay to somebody to come in and speak, or is that education coordinator, content capture and outreach expenses? I wonder how, do these two overlap, AmeriCorps and education and outreach? Obviously, they
little
don't,
bit.
because you've budgeted, so they obviously don't, but.
Yes,
but,
the education and outreach resources would help the AmeriCorps staff person reach out to do educational content.
Okay,
We're in the process of planning right now a November 2nd tour with Dr. Perzak,
yeah,
who
great.
is well-known throughout Center County as the long-term kind of guru
Yes.
and instructor for all of our hydrogeologists.
Yeah.
He's going to come to Millbrook in November and present, we're going to do a little tour. He's still very active and wants to be engaging with folks, and we're going to talk about wetland and
Nice.
Spring Creek and That would help, this budget line item in 2024 would help those kind of efforts.
Gotcha.
Does it also not include creating brochures for the watershed atlas?
Yes.
Because they have run out of them.
Right, right. Yeah, like there's a watershed atlas. One of the really nice things that the Watershed Commission has done is to help develop a digital atlas. There's a real nice brochure right at the bottom of the stairs here at the Borough Building, and we're working with the Atlas work group that has put together amazing educational and state-of-the-art science, economics, fly fishing, hiking, recreational things on the Spring Creek Watershed Atlas site, which is really nice. And Dr. Perzak is going to work with us on that.
You got the best there, for sure.
And in 2024, the other thing we want to do is to host a State of the Watershed Conference. It's been talked about for a number of years where we would invite folks to come. I should say, before I jump off Perzak, that is a tour and a walking tour with the Perzak that it's intended for elected officials and the folks that you've appointed to the Watershed Commission, first and foremost. 11 to 1 o'clock on Thursday, November 2nd, and we'll be getting the word out. And we'll encourage anybody that would like to come and listen to probably the most knowledgeable and gifted mind with regard to the geology and the hydrology of Spring Creek and sort of the bathtub that we live in. Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more. And other questions for Kevin? Great job. No questions.
Thanks. We're happy to have you guys, and sorry Randy wasn't able to make it tonight, but
He's on virtually, I believe, right?
oh,
Until the meeting.
Oh, sorry.
He'll be at the business meeting.
okay.
I'll have to listen to the tape.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, 2024 budget.
Yes, why don't you come up to Randy's seat since he's not here? Let me take down his name tag here.
So we're gonna look at streetlights, parks and recreation, and liquid fuel
Yes.
funds. And you wanna just start at the top, Lori, with
I
streetlights?
can, yes. Welcome to another budget season.
Welcome,
Here we
yeah.
are again.
Can't wait.
Our favorite time of the year.
Mine too. How
I know.
about it?
You're the best.
Oh, all right. So let's jump in. I tried to pick funds for the first one that kind of get all of our feet wet, aren't too involved, so we can get our mind back into the whole process. So starting out with, I'll start with liquid fuels. Liquid fuels, we get money from the state based on our miles that qualify. We usually get about 130,000, give or take a little.
Lori, could I just interrupt you this morning? What, because I'm not too bright, just explain liquid fuels fund. What it is, we should have read it, but just so everybody knows and the public knows, it comes from and for.
So it comes from the state. We get money from the state based on our number of miles that qualify. We get approximately 130 to 170,000. It is highly regulated, very limited in what you can use it for. We get audited on this every year. We can use it, we mainly use it for salt in the winter time and for paving in the spring or fall, depending on when we get it.
Right.
We can also use it for some major and minor equipment. It's limited to 20% of the allocation for major equipment. We can carry that from year to year, which we do if we want to purchase something larger. So, because I don't have a crystal ball on how
Right.
much it's going to snow this year, we usually take the standpoint of we're going to see how our winter goes, and if we have a winter that doesn't kill us, then we can use the money for other things. But first comes keeping the roads plowed in the winter. So,
Thank you. for
you're
that.
welcome. So Matt gave me a list of what he would like to use it for next year, which is your 2024. He calls it highway aid. It's the same thing, it's just different verbiage.
Yep.
He's asking we're up to do storm drains. He's been working, doing so many storm drains a year. Wants to continue that next year. We do paving every year, pretty much every year. I suppose there's been a couple years we haven't, but pretty much every year. And he's asking for a pickup truck with a plow next year. So basically, the revenue from this is the money we get from the state plus the interest that we get. And then it's just what I said, major equipment, snow and ice removal. Next year, there's the storm sewers. There's a little bit of repairs. We can repair if the salt's done. Repair that with this money. And then the project that we do every year for paving. So this one, there's not a lot of discretion because they are very strict. If we aren't sure, we have a person at PennDOT that we call that we say, does this qualify before we even think about using the money? Because if we misuse it, we have to turn it back in. We don't want that. So this one we're pretty careful with. There's not a lot of wiggle room with it. So it's pretty straightforward.
And we typically hold back about 100,000 a year for paving.
Yes.
That's what we've been doing for the last, as long as I've been on council.
Yeah, we pretty much do every
Yeah,
year.
and so.
But I think if it's been a really bad winter, the paving might
Yeah.
have to go out the window.
Right.
Because obviously that comes first, but
Right.
it's been extremely rare that we haven't.
And I've seen the guys doing the storm drains. That's in-house
Yes.
work that we're doing. They're doing a really good job with that.
Yeah, so we would buy all the infrastructure
Yeah.
materials, the concrete, storm basins,
Yeah.
storm drains and piping and all that.
Yep. Yeah.
Use our own labor.
So it's really good. And 13 years to replace a truck, I think that's probably due.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yes.
He's got a pretty good replacement schedule down. Because trucks are so expensive anymore, you need at least 2 years worth of liquid fuels money to replace a truck.
Yeah.
So that's kind of sobering, I think.
Yeah.
But he needs a truck next year, and so we usually get the street trucks out of this.
I had one quick question. Traffic control devices is 4433.000.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is.
So it's the year that we put the things up on the diamond.
Delineators.
Yeah, we use this
The
one for
delineators.
that.
Delineators.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
I know.
You shouldn't.
Now I know what it is.
So that's one of the things we used it for. We don't use
Yes.
it very often for but we could use it for like traffic lights.
Okay.
I don't know if he has numbers in there, Matt put this together, some of this, but I did ask him about Potter Street getting what I call, because this is the
A
proper
little
name,
bump.
speed tables. They're not speed bumps anymore,
Oh.
they're speed tables. I guess because they're up along flats part, then back down. But anyway, I did ask about the type that you bolt down to the ground.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, at least,
No, he didn't mention that, so
Okay.
we can definitely look at numbers and
Yes,
get that
I
in
told him
here.
we should try to look at that for 2024.
Okay, I'll ask him about
Okay.
that.
All right.
So we can
Sounds
get
good.
that and bring that back, because these aren't final numbers by any means yet. So
Yep.
we can get that and we'll revisit that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next let's do the streetlights. We levy a tax for streetlights, so it is its own fund. This covers the gooseneck lights, they call them, that are out in the residential areas, and we don't own those. The West Penn Power owns those, but we pay for the electricity. And for the downtown decorative lights, those we do own. Yep, so, and it also, we pay for insurance and stuff out of here. So basically, the biggest expense in here is generally street lighting, electricity. Now, this year, they got new heads and pools, 20 of them, to replace some of the lights in the pools. And they're asking for 20 more next year. Now, in order to do that, we are probably gonna have to increase taxes because it's $40,000 for 20 pools and $40,000 for 20 heads. So, that is your choice. He asked for it, so I put it in. That he said some of the lights are almost to the point you can push them over.
And
When
have
you-
been pushed over.
When you replace them, he said the conduit's bad, the wires are bad. I think probably 20 is about what they can get completed in a year, which is why I asked for 20.
And which line item is this? 434.
It's the 434, 370.
Okay, so that's just the 20 out of the,
Yeah. So, he said that next year they're looking at Lynn Street up by the elementary school and down around to the sharp curve, and it'll go out to Allegheny Street. And then I think there's some on Allegheny Street that they want to do
There's a
too.
few, but there's the taller poles that we own is what
Yeah.
Lori was talking about.
Yeah. So that's what they requested. It is up to you if you want to do that, but we have been cutting into the reserves a little bit to the point that if we want to do this next year, we probably should think about increasing the taxes for a year. So, it may need to be something that we need to, you'll probably need, if you want to cover the whole 80,000, so we get approximately 100,000 for 1 mil of taxes, so you're looking at a 0.8 mil increase to cover $80,000. So, this one again is not, there's not a whole lot that goes on, but those pools and heads are getting very expensive.
40 and 40, 40.
There's 20 heads and 20 bases.
and so that's 40 and 40 out of this section, or is it 40 and 40 from somewhere else?
No, it's 20 and 20 from the repair and upgrade at $80,000.
Okay.
That's what he's asking for to do the upgrade.
I wanted to show you, you're working on these charts, trying to make our process more effective, more efficient than we did last year. So instead of the long drawn-out surveys and so on, we are including a pie chart that shows expenses, in some cases revenues, to give you an idea, how things are being paid for, where the top expenses are going, really to educate you in making your decisions. We're talking about a tax increase. Those are always tough decisions, but we want to show you, make this easy to read. So we're putting these pie charts together for every fund. We have about 13 funds we're going to go through. And if you have any questions on this, let us know. Julie's helping Lori with this part. And I think we're off to a very, very good start with this information.
Excuse me,
Yes.
where did you say the lampposts would go? Allegheny to Westland behind the elementary school, and then where?
So it's mainly on Lynn Street from the sharp curve out past the elementary school to
Oh, okay.
Allegheny Street. And
Okay.
then a few on Allegheny Street.
So along with that, that's kind of a separate project because they're a different style pole. They're a little bit taller than the ones you see downtown. The reason I say that downtown, there's a number that are missing, they've been broken or whatever, as we talked about, they hit by a car. And some of them are on order. It takes forever to get these in stock or get them into our hands. So there's
these are the
a number
big
downtown that
poles?
need to be replaced, as well as this special area. So there's more than just that area that needs to be replaced.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
We ordered these about a year and a half ago. They just came in.
Yeah, he did. He's right. The 40,000 from this year actually was ordered, you're right, about a year and a half ago, and we just got them in this year. So it does take a long time, so.
so let me if I understand correctly. On Westland Street, are we putting, replacing the residential Victorian historic Lincoln and then around on, or are we talking about the big tall West Bend goosenecks?
No, we don't
but
own those.
The ones that we own, which are the taller Victorian style,
Okay,
it's like the plastic globe on top.
okay,
The ones downtown, John, probably are maybe 9 feet. These are about 12.
okay.
So they're 3 feet taller, and then all the globes that you see on West Lynn there by the elementary school, those globes of plastic things that are falling off.
Yeah,
all the-
that are
they'll
regularly
be-
falling
the-
off.
The globes will look more like the ones downtown.
Okay. Okay.
Other questions for Lori?
Okay, one more.
Yep.
We don't want to end the excitement yet. So the last one is parks. Again, we levy a tax for parks. This covers everything in the parks. The people that work there, their wages, the vehicle that they have, any repairs that they do, the mowing, all the fuel for that, all the maintenance on the mowers, everything. So for next year, Matt is looking at tree maintenance. We do tree maintenance every year because some of the trees are, they Rodney calls them widowmakers sometimes. But when they need to be taken down, we take them down or we trim them. One of the things that they had on here is a pickup truck, and he has been looking for 2 years for a used pickup truck. And Dawn suggested when I was talking to him, why don't we just buy a new one, lease it over 4 or 5 years, and just be done with it. So Matt agreed. He thought that was a great idea. It saves him time looking for a used one because he hasn't been able to find them.
I was just add, we went to different auctions, government
Yes.
auctions.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the prices of used were sky high. They
For
were-
what you were
For
getting.
what we were getting.
Yeah.
You could literally buy something new and have a warranty and everything go with it.
Right.
So that's the problem. out
Yeah. I know he's been looking. I know he's combs things if they go to auctions, and he just hasn't been successful. Not trying. So instead of the 15,000 for a used one, we decided, I don't know how much it's actually going to be because we just decided this on Friday, but I put in $10,000 for a lease, and then depending over 4 or 5 years. But he said he would look into that and get some good numbers for that. But it seemed like the best solution, given that how much time it takes to look for a used one, to get a new one, like Ralph said, have the warranty, less maintenance on it. So we kind of switched gears midstream there. The grills, the leaf blower, the tools and equipment, the leaf blowers and the little push mowers, they're used hard. He is asking for a scag mower. That's the bigger mowers. And they're hard on mowers because they mow a lot in the summertime. So they're gonna need a new one of those. This year was the last year for the 28,000 that we committed to the pool. So that 28,000 is gonna be eaten up next year by the mower and the pickup truck. So we just we kept saying, if we can just hang on, we hung on. And so now they have some equipment that they need. So that's basically the only major difference, is that we're just repurposing that 28,000 to the equipment that they need for next year. So that's basically the big thing on that one.
I know one additional item that we're at least talking about in the planning stages is adding a seasonal winter helper, because as you know, we don't have anybody over here on the walkways that we have in the parks. We have this beautiful walkway, along Spring Creek. It's not maintained. We've had some success with volunteers, and we're very much appreciative of anybody's volunteer efforts, but we really want to be consistent about keeping the steps clean, keeping the walkway clean, and with this little bit of a cushion, because we're switching gears, we are looking at putting in the budget a seasonal winter person, which we've never had.
Is that the
So-
reason for the increase to 58,000 under salary expense?
No, we have an extra person right now, I think. So the wages were higher than we thought this year. And it just, all I did was increase it by the raises that are in the contract next year.
So where would this additional part-time worker be, a different line item?
It would
or
be out of the Parks
Mhm.
Fund, they would be paid out of the Parks Fund. But they would be part-time, so, we'd have to figure out how many hours
Mhm.
per week, what they do when when it's not snowing and that kind of thing. But pretty much to help clean up that walkway would be the number one job anytime it snowed.
So that line item may go up a bit.
Mhm.
Make you up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, Julie put together a spreadsheet. Just today, as we were talking about these items, you want to hand it out, or?
Yeah, this would probably be something we would add to the others whenever there's, so this just shows that additional money from the capital fund and how it could be put in for a capital improvement plan, just.
That's all. Make sure they get some, none. Yeah, very good. I saw it.
We can share.
No, yes, I saw it
I
earlier.
don't know, I'm sure you did.
And current year means 2024?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because that's been used up, as Laura was saying, in the budget right now.
Okay.
So then the next years would be moving forward, where we could put it in a capital improvement plan. Working towards doing that in the funds.
So this does, if I'm reading this correctly, tell me if I'm right or wrong, that for next year, we would not have the part-time winter employee, because there's nothing in that one.
You would not if you were going to use this money on those items. I mean, you could if you wanted to add to the budget, but in this way, if we delay that to the following year, then we could work that in, and that would, the budget would remain the same for
Okay,
those years.
okay.
But of course, you could always do that as well for next year. But that wouldn't be in this budget the way we have it right now.
Or on the lease agreement for the truck, for instance, after the 4 years, is the truck returned?
No, it's ours. We do a
so
lease
it's
to
sort of-
own.
It's sort of a payment plan?
Yeah.
Yes, but it is an actual lease. There's
Okay,
advantages to a
Right.
lease versus
Okay.
a loan.
But it's a
Right.
lease to own.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Not like if you lease a car and you turn it
Yeah,
back
right,
in.
yeah.
No, we do leases pretty often on
Yes.
vehicles,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It works well for us,
Okay,
so.
good.
So this is just an example. We could also do maybe a lease with a lawnmower, another piece of equipment, or we could, kind of keep that and build it up. This would give us around 9,000 just with these estimates. As Lori said, we need something more, we want a good estimate so we can see that better
Yeah.
as well.
Those are three good topics. Is there anything in and Julie, in your years and years of working with the Bellefonte budget that jumps out at you that's concerning or different? I mean, every year, costs go up. In
They
my short time on this earth, trucks have never gotten cheaper. So
They're really
none of
bad.
this, all of this is in every year, we have these issues, and every year you guys work so hard to try to mitigate the damage. So there's nothing that's jumping out at you in these three
There's-
first topics that are,
No,
like, oh
there's
my
nothing
goodness,
that's
how are we
jumping
gonna do it?
out. You
Yeah.
just have to, there's some decisions you will have to make toward the end if you want to put the streetlight poles, if you want to do that.
well,
That's.
I mean, if the streetlight poles can be pushed over and the conduit's bad, I think we should consider it.
Right.
Or maybe have the guy that went out and looked at them come in, because that sounds concerning, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I was-
whether there's 20 or 40, we should probably,
We
I mean, if
can-
we want streetlights.
Right. I mean, obviously, you don't have to have
Right.
them. That's certainly your
When
prerogative
was
as
the last
well.
time, I mean, I'm being facetious, but we haven't replaced them in
We've replaced, yeah,
Bulbs we replaced a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah.
But like the structural design of these poles are failing.
yeah.
Very old.
They're very,
Under the ground is where the problem
That's
is.
there too.
yeah. I know he talked a lot about the conduit and the wiring. The conduit's shot, the wiring's not good
Especially on
anymore.
West Bishop and part of Allegheny.
But it's kind of a process, like, again,
Sure.
he probably
Yeah.
can't handle, the crew can't handle much more than 20
Oh, yeah, yeah.
till you do
definitely.
them all.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, you have to do it a little bit at a time, but you will need to make some decisions, but those are your decisions to make. I'm just telling you what they're telling me. If you want, we can have Matt come into a meeting and talk about, I tried to gain as much as I could from
Yeah,
him.
no, you did good. You did good.
But
That's fine. Yeah.
that you know now what I know, so I'm sorry.
So, could we go back to the liquid fuels for just a second? We've had issues, particularly with Columbia Gas doing new lines through Curtin Street and Lynn Street and on Wilson Street. Columbia Gas came in and repaved West Curtin after we complained. Is this funding here those roads will be taken care of by Columbia Gas and
Yes.
will not affect our budget
That's
whatsoever?
correct. That is correct.
Correct.
That's what I want to see, because
Yeah.
they're the ones that messed it up, they need to fix it up.
We already, in a few meetings ago, we already listed to you what liquid fuels or highway aid's gonna cover what streets this year.
Okay. So if something should happen and they renege on it and we get complaints from the community,
They're not going to
They're
renege
not gonna
on it.
renege.
They're not going to.
Okay.
They're
They'll,
taking-
they'll take care of it.
okay,
We have a really good working relationship with them so far.
okay. I just want to make sure that the residents get their roads fixed in a timely fashion, that's all.
Sure.
I can't speak for timely, but
What they do, unfortunately with our winters, you can't pave over them, just like we saw with
Exactly.
Water Street. with the whole collapse.
Yeah. But they're not going to be finished this project until sometime next year anyway.
Yes. So there's always a delay, usually because of that.
Asphalt plant shut down right around Thanksgiving. It's unlikely that that'll happen.
So before we leave the budget discussion, real quickly, we did include some information, just general information on what a mill is, because we're talking about millage rates, mills per the real estate funds, or real estate revenue funds. We did put in a consolidated handout of our goals that were established in the 2021 management plan that the borough took part in. So they're all, these goals are spread out through the entire plan, which is, well over 100 pages, but we just condensed them, put them on a couple pages. So they're there for your review. And so, what we're going to do is go through each fund as we're doing tonight. And then like we normally do, we'll put everything into a draft booklet, make that available to our community to review and comment. And then you'll actually, of course, in the end, vote to approve any changes or keep things the same. But you'll have everything together, pretty much like we normally do. The traditional budgets, like you're seeing here in the spreadsheets. You'll see the pie charts involved, any additional Excel spreadsheet information that we include, the millage information. We have other real estate information there, trying to explain people how they can look at their tax bill and understand it better. There's 3 taxing bodies, we have information on that. But we're fully intending to do all of that, just try to make these meetings a little easier to understand, a little quicker, hopefully, as we go through this fall, through this process.
So far, so good.
Okay.
They look good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie, for your work.
Deb.
Could I ask one more
You
question?
can ask any more questions you want.
Under lighting, so if we have poles that are falling over, being pushed over, the main problems, the conduits, Would it be possible to come up with a budget, an estimate of how much it would cost to replace and repair that rather than spending $80,000 on new ones?
Well,
I'm not-
we're replacing everything, the foundation, the conduit underneath, the pole, and the globe on top, so it'll essentially be like new when we're done. It won't be rehabbed. It'll be a new light put in place.
And these are downtown or?
It's
sides?
both downtown. There are a number missing downtown,
Yeah.
but the bigger project is out around West Lynn Street.
Mhm.
And they're a different style of pole. We had planned to start doing that. They're probably older and in more need or higher priority of replacement than the ones downtown. But along with that, there are a few downtown that are simply missing. So we want to replace those as well.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yeah, very quickly, back to the liquid fuels fund. For the storm drain maintenance, are those types of repairs considered infrastructure? And would there be other funding sources that could supplement the liquid fuels? Like wasn't there federal money for?
The IR infrastructure,
I don't.
We can, we can't, we have money spent 2 or 3 times already.
Okay, I just
we're
wondered
trying
if
to
this would
use-
be eligible to
Yes,
somehow supplement the
It
liquid
can be,
fuels.
it can be, we're all the time watching for grants. We just got an application from the county at the last meeting, the county liquid fuels, they get an allotment. And then because they don't have any roads or bridges, they grant it out. So about every 2 or 3 years, we are successful in getting a grant of the same kind of money from the county.
Okay,
We watch for other grants that come by. Don's mentioned PennDOT grants. He's working with on South Spring. So we're all the time watching for grant funds that might be
Sure.
available.
okay, thank you.
So I think, I'm put it back on, I remember seeing a list from the federal government under the IRA, I think they called it the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yes.
There were several funds that dealt with things just like this.
Yes.
Have we looked into, and so I think what Deb is asking is, have we looked into seeing if any of those can supplement
We've
those?
looked around, we have to be in a position to make applications. Sometimes it requires an engineer study. You got to look at all the red tape that's available or required to make that application. We take a quick look at it, but sometimes we don't feel like we qualify. We don't have a very large staff. We don't have engineers on staff. There's a lot of requirements that go with some of these programs. They're really geared towards maybe large, giant cities or something, but the ones we feel like we can qualify for, we try to apply for.
So, based on that, let me ask this other question. A lot of these come through, in terms of the streets, come through PennDOT. Could we ask PennDOT if some of these funds could be applied in like multiple municipalities for these small communities that don't have the engineers or whatever? I don't know
Well,
if that's a possibility or not, but
It's possible, but there's so much red tape, it's not even funny. I tried to move, we talked about High Street and the pipeline or bridge that's there in front of the general store. I thought, there was, we
Raceway.
might, the raceway
Reconstruction
might
of the
have,
Raceway Bridge.
I thought we could have some options there. And there was, I went to one of the early meetings about that project, replacing the bridge, which was started out to be a repair, then it turned into a complete bridge replacement. But there's multiple staff with different titles and different departments, heavy red tape that we can never get through, That's the downside of some of these programs. It has to be a program that fits us as a small community, and we have a chance to making a good application.
I think what is helpful, and we'll get moving on here, is if we have a shovel-ready project already in design and ready to go, and we're making grant applications, they like that. We invest some money. and we find one that matches what we've started to invest in. For instance, and I'm just using it as an example, the street light or the stoplight at Parkview Heights. If we have the design in place and we start applying for grants, it's much more likely to get funded than if we're starting from ground zero. I think Ralph and Dawn do a pretty good job of that, along with Matt and Julie, of trying to foresee those things. So we are shovel-ready with those grants. But trying to interweave 2 grants with another municipality or township, I think that's almost impossible. I'm sure that it happens, Joanne. But
Well, we have done it before, just FYI.
yeah, I'm sure. But there's a lot of bridges to cross, so to speak. Anyhow,
I mean, just real quick, it made me think, over here, the Railroad Street Bridge going into Sunnyside is being replaced, probably in 2024 by the time it's physically replaced, but our share is $30,000, and that's probably close to $1.5 to $2 million the cost to replace that little bridge. The county, through their funds, has picked up, because they get transportation funds as well, picked up the bulk of the funds. So, and we did go into a multi-municipal project. They did 4 or 5 or 6 bridges all together. They hired one design engineer, they went out to bid. So they're working through these different bridge projects all together. But I think the good news is our share is 30,000, very small, tiny piece. Fortunately, because we couldn't afford to replace that bridge.
So out of curiosity, is that in next year's budget?
The 30,000, it was actually budgeted probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we just got the invoice, so we'll take it out of this year.
Okay.
It's just how we'll have to do it. It'll come out of liquid fuel funds.
Okay.
okay. I'd like to move on to the business meeting now.
Sure.
If,
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Everybody is ready? Can you tell me when you're ready, Dawn? Okay.
Good job.
I'd like to call the September 18th Bellefonte Borough Council business meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the Borough Council meeting. We'll do our best to start council meetings on time and end them on time. Due to the room acoustics, please speak up when talking so that people can hear what you're saying. All comments and reports should be kept to 3 minutes maximum. Thank you. Right now, I'd like to have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please, Mr. Stewart?
Mr. Veneer. I'm here. Mr. Brackville. I know he's here.
Yep. Randy, you're muted.
Miss Cleaton.
Here?
Miss Dan.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Miss McKean.
Here.
Miss Purnell.
Here.
Miss Sedgwick.
Here.
Miss Tosti Vasey.
I'm here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here. Great, thank you. In accordance with Act 65 of 2021, if a matter is not on the agenda, council may take official action on it with the following exceptions. Council can act on matters relating to potential or real emergencies. Council may add a matter of agency business to its agenda through a majority vote. The council must state why the action item is being added to the agenda. Council may vote to add an action item at this time. I'm looking for a motion from any council member that would like to add an agenda item tonight. Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment.
Could I just quickly say something?
Yes, ma'am.
I think, and it is nothing, not adding agenda, but I think this first sentence should say the council may not take official action until, except the following exceptions, because each time I've heard that doesn't make sense. In other words, we can't do anything unless we pass a motion.
I know I've read that several times about the same thing, but that's the wording, so that's what I read.
Let me look at that.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure.
The officers of council, public comment. Please sign in, come to the podium at the appropriate time, state your name and address, and which items you are speaking about. please limit your comments to 3 minutes maximum. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to speak? Anybody from council? Moving on. Communications written. Do you want to take that,
Sure.
please?
First one is from the Howard Fire Company. Their special event, the Pumpkin Chunkin' Fall Festival, scheduled for Saturday, October 21st. They're in need of fire police assistance. They're looking for the borough's approval of the request, and we have the motion listed that if available, we would approve that.
Looking for a motion to approve the use of Bellefonte Fire Police, if available, to assist Howard Fire Company at the Pumpkin Chuckin' Fall Festival on Saturday, October 21st, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion.
Here and Dan.
Yes. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill, Ms. Clayton,
Yes?
Ms. Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. McKean,
Yes.
Ms. Purnell,
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick,
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
Yep.
We read your lips, Randy. Next item, Ralph.
Yeah, certainly. The Center County Recycling Refuse Authority municipal report is in your materials. It's for September 2023. It's just listed for your information.
Great. Next item, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless members of council request specific items to be removed for separate action. I'm looking for a motion and second to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Deb.
I'll second it.
Thanks,
Clayton
Barb.
and Dan.
Any comments? Roll call.
Mr. Bernier.
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Ms. Clayton,
Yes.
Ms. Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. McKean,
Yes.
Ms. Purnell,
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick,
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey.
Yes.
Reports. Mayor, I think you're up if you have something here.
Yeah, Chief Weaver is attending a crime prevention symposium, and we're going to meet next week. He said it's very beneficial, so we will meet next week to go over all the things that he's learning.
Okay. Anything else?
That's good, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Let's see. Next item, Office of Community Affairs, motion and second to approve the following HARB projects. DBI mural project for backup building at 123 South Allegheny Street. So I'm looking for a motion and a second for this vote.
So moved.
Joanne, Ken?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this.
Tosti Vasey and Bernier.
Any discussion?
What's the time frame on this?
I don't know.
The time frame, I believe, is, I think they're hoping to get it done before winter.
Great,
Yes.
I think it'll be awesome.
What exactly is
Yeah,
council?
what is this?
Well, so as
We
I
have-
mentioned,
Let me clarify.
Sure.
I have seen nothing.
right, you
Nothing.
weren't supposed to see anything.
Well, how do we approve something we don't know what it is?
You're kind of just approving it on a trust basis because let me explain. So, the presentation, if you went to HARB, you were able to see the mural design. However, the mural design is confidential because it's a public mural and the consulting firm and DBI don't want the design to get out to the public before it's painted. So HARB saw the design to just kind of give their rubber stamp, and as a formality, because council has to formally approve HARB's recommendations, you guys too kind of have to give your rubber stamp of approval for the mural. I can tell you that it depicts Bellefonte history. It does a lot of nods to the airmail history. I I don't even have it. So the consultant gave the presentation, but she didn't give me a copy of the mural. So I don't, of the mural design.
Is this going to be done behind the screen?
It's not egregious.
We've placed people in Harb to make these decisions in the historical district, right?
Right.
You guys recommend this mural, you've agreed that this is okay, and you're
Yes.
asking for our approval.
Yes.
And there's good reason for why it's not something that we can look at right now.
Right, because it's not a public
No,
document.
We
It's-
understand,
Yeah.
You articulated that just fine.
Okay.
It's not a public document, but it's going to be there for a very long time in the public.
Yeah, it will be, when it's painted onto the building, it will be there and available for the public to see it, but you know, they don't want to give away the mural, what it is, before they're going to paint it.
Ones I have seen in other communities are very nice, classy, they fit in, they bring out the history, so.
It has something to do with copyright and artists' creation. I don't know the exact term for it.
Yeah, I mean, I told Alex, I said, listen, you know, the hard meeting is a public meeting, so I can't, because she said, well, this is a confidential document. And I said, well, the hard meeting's public, so, you know, the public is welcome to come and, you know, come virtually as it is and see your presentation. But, you know, beyond that, I can not give that document out. So you guys could vote not to approve it, and I can tell Alex that you guys have to see it before you approve it.
I think that would be the proper thing to do. I'm not comfortable approving something that is going to be painted downtown without seeing it. I understand all the things with artists and all those things, but this is important, and I'm sure it'll be fine, but I am not in favor of supporting this until we see exactly what's going to be done.
Is this something that could be done in executive session, so it is just amongst us? And then
This doesn't meet the
This
criteria.
isn't real estate, it's not a.
No,
this is-
No.
Let's vote.
This is,
Let's vote,
It's-
Mr. President.
yeah.
I have a question. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's a quirky question. When we go to Harb, or people go to Harb and they want to paint their building, they're not allowed. Now we're going to put a memorial on and we're going to, you know, really, what's that do to the future if somebody else decides they want to paint something on their building?
They would go through the same process. We allow for murals.
But we know what that process has been, that most of the Harb group does not want painted, you know, painting on the brick that are there. They want to leave it as it is.
Well, this particular building, this has been a very long process that Harb has been involved in since the beginning. This building is concrete, cinder block. It's not original brick. It's in a location which will be a wonderful place for a mural. It's going to be on the backside of
It's already painted.
Mazzolo's building that faces Cherry, where the parking lot is. You know, Harb's been involved in the discussions with DBI about the location. They narrowed it down from about 4 different locations. So we hope that there might be more property owners willing to invest in doing murals in the future, and then they would go through the same process that this organization and property owner did.
Is there any nudity?
No, there's no nudity.
Is there anything that would promote illicit behavior?
No, there's nothing.
How do, we don't
Well,
know.
because
She's
that's
never
an
seen it.
ordinance, so I would not have approved it.
Yeah.
It would never have gotten as far as it did if it had any of those things.
Well, how did Joanne see parts of it and we didn't?
Because she went to the Harb meeting, so she saw it.
So people can see this, but you have to be at a certain meeting, is that what you're
Parts.
telling me?
Yeah, you have to be at Ms. Hall presented to the HARB meeting the design, because
I'm all for it, but this is, this is unusual
if,
to approve this without this council seeing a rendering.
Yeah, I agree
Did
with
you
you,
see
but
it?
why do we
I
have,
did see it.
why do we have this organization for the second meeting? I mean, if we don't trust these people, hear me out, to make the decisions in this district.
Yeah, and normally we have a sheet in front of us that
I know,
shows us
I know,
the
I
modifications
know.
that are being.
Gina is our representative and our spokesperson for this organization, correct?
I am.
You feel comfortable with what you know about this mural and where it's going to go and how it's going to be, as the person who speaks for HARB in front of council?
I do. I
Okay.
feel 100% comfortable,
All right.
but I,
Well, we should vote then.
Yes, I have another question.
Based on her
Does this cost
decision.
us anything, or is this?
no, it does not. It's the property owner, and they have an agreement, they have a contractual agreement, that DBI with the property owner, that the property owner is maintaining the cost of the mural.
There's clearly a fairness issue here. Every application I've ever seen had to present the color, the materials, all the details of their project viewable from a public right-of-way. Every homeowner in the district has had to do that, and since 1970. This is the first time something has been approved without seeing it. That is not right.
I have to agree.
I agree.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so I can,
We haven't voted yet. You don't have to do anything.
You presented your case, that's fine, that's an excellent point.
So, I'm going back to Robert's rules. So, what we could do probably, if that's the census, we could either have a motion to table or a motion to refer back to HARB to tell them that this is what the
Well, first we
concern
have to
is.
vote yes or no on the motion.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Or you could just vote this whole down and have a second motion to say what HARB needs to do.
well, I just need to get you a picture of the mural. That's all
Yes.
you want, right?
Yeah.
You just,
Yeah.
so, yeah. I was not given that. I was
We
shown
haven't
it
voted yet,
live.
but I think,
But I can tell Alex that I need that copy and that council needs to
I think
see
the
that.
point's well taken by Mr. Stewart, but it's never had been the case before.
And as Deb said, could we do that in the executive session?
I don't think
No.
so.
No, it doesn't meet the criteria.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
We just get a little folder that we can peek at.
Pass it around.
It's supposed to be transparency, isn't it?
Yes, there
So,
is.
I thought all materials were supposed to be posted on
Yeah.
on the website
Yeah.
before we see them. all
Isn't that the way it's supposed to work?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr.
Oh, wait,
Brooks.
I want to make sure, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please.
Is everybody clear on the vote that we're taking?
No.
For or?
Voting to
Please,
approve
we
it.
talked about a couple of things, so we are voting to either approve or not approve this.
That is correct. And you want me to reread the motion?
If you would, please.
Mural, the DBI mural project for back of the building at 123 South
Can I,
Avenue.
I'm sorry, you're saying not approved, but if I get you, so if you don't approve it, does that mean it's not approved ever? Or does that mean it's just not approved until?
That was what I was trying to
Right,
clarify.
I don't want you to accidentally nix this whole
That
project.
was what I was saying, it needs to make
Well,
to amend the motion to send it back to HARB with this request before we will actually do a final
Or
vote.
it
just
can
the
say just
administrator.
provide, it could say provide a rendering at the next
Right.
session, not take it back to.
Yeah, Harb's seen it and Harb's approved it, so.
So,
But as it's presented,
So I
we
think-
don't want to approve it, or I don't want to approve
so
it,
let me,
correct?
what I'll do is I'll make a motion to amend the original motion to table the decision until the next meeting when we can see a picture. That way, it's not, as Gina was saying, Because if we vote no, then that means it's a dead in the water, whereas if we table until the next session, then we can bring it
Yeah,
back up again.
we don't want it dead in the water. We don't.
Okay,
We just
so,
want to see
so
it.
I'm making a motion to table till the next session to have a rendering of the mural.
I will provide a rendering of that for the next council meeting.
Is there a second to Joanne's motion?
Second.
Thank you.
That
So
was Sedgwick.
discussion on the amended motion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Bernier?
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill?
Yes.
Miss Cleaton?
Yes.
Miss Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Miss McKean?
I guess. Yes.
Miss Purnell?
Yes.
Miss Sedgwick?
Yes.
Miss Tosti-Vasey?
Yes? Who seconded it, by the way?
Sedgwick.
Cedric, okay. Thanks.
Okay, so does that now kill the original motion?
Tabling, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. So we're moving on. So all we
Yeah, I'll
need,
just-
and I don't care if it's exactly what it's going to be, just some sort of,
Well, I'll probably just
Yeah.
ask Alex for the presentation she gave to Harvard.
perfect,
Yes,
So,
Yeah, we should see what they've seen.
yes.
Yes.
sure.
perfect.
I just wanted, since there weren't actually, the minutes didn't come back in time for your packet, so I just wanted to find out if you had any questions about the memo or anything else.
No,
Cool.
thank you, Gina.
Yep.
Thanks, Gina.
Moving on, liaison reports. Y'all can see that. Let's see. Any questions for those reports?
Just one, and it's
Okay.
actually for you.
Okay.
On the Center County Airport Authority, what will the new airport name be, and when will the sign and change in name occur?
State College Regional Airport, is that accurate?
Yes.
And we're working on
I do.
a date, and it will be announced publicly. And we're working, I don't know that, we did approve at the last meeting the design, I think.
Yes, there, yes.
Gone from memory, not looking at our minutes.
Yeah, you did say it was approved, but.
Yes, it is.
But it didn't say when the
We-
sign
don't
and
know
change.
yet.
They'll,
occur.
they'll do a press
Yeah,
release.
we're gonna do a
Okay.
press
So
release.
dates to be determined, okay. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to current and old business. Center County Boroughs Association Fall Meeting, it's 6 PM, October 18th. Speakers, invitation to State Representative Carrie Benioff. LB Waters agreed to sponsor the meeting. Let Alyssa know if you plan to attend. Joanne, aren't you the chair of that? Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, it was changed to the 18th because originally it was on the 19th, and I chair another meeting at the exact same time, so we had to
Okay.
move the meeting.
All
So
right.
the original notice you got was incorrect, just FYI.
Reminder, the Boroughs Association Fall Leadership Conference is the October 13th to the 15th in Bayfront Landing, Erie. Council may register by contacting Alyssa. Deadline to register is September 19th. Next item, I'm looking,
That's like tomorrow.
Yeah.
it sure is.
Yeah, so
So-
do we have anybody interested since you got them around the table?
I believe
I'm going.
Barb's going. I have another commitment that weekend. I don't know of anybody else who
I'm
plans.
planning on.
So I'll be there.
Okay, take a lot of notes, Randy. I'm sorry I'm gonna miss it because there are some nice topics on it. Okay, South Spring Streetscape Project using TASA grant memo. Looking for a motion and a second to remove a parking space adjacent from Smokers Express. So that's the first motion. I'm not going to say the next one until we,
I'll make that motion.
thanks,
I'll
Barb.
second.
Thank you.
Dan and McKean.
Yep. Discussion on that. Is everybody, in your packet, there's photos. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bernier.
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill.
Yes.
Ms. Clayton?
Yes.
Ms. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKean?
Yes.
Ms. Purnell?
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick?
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey?
Yes.
Next, I'm looking for a motion and a second to change the first parking space on South Spring Street from a long-term parking space to a metered space. That would be the first space that's on the east side of South Spring.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Randy made the motion, Debbie seconded it.
And when you say the east side, are you talking about near Bishop Street or near High Street?
At
It's
the
across
corner
from
of
Napa.
South Spring and
Right
Bishop.
across from Napa.
Okay.
Yes.
And we may consider someday making one or two more metered spaces there. We've had some feedback from our parking enforcement that it isn't heavily used by permit holders, and it might be more convenient for metered spaces. So, but tonight, we're voting on this one and only. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Bernier?
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill?
Yes.
Ms. Clayton?
Yes.
Ms. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKean?
Yes.
Ms. Purnell?
Yes.
Ms. Sedgwick?
Yes.
Ms. Tosti Vasey?
Yes.
Just an update, stage band shell discussion pre-meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 21st at 3 PM in council chambers. Reminding Joanne, Randy, myself, and some authority members will be there along with borough staff. Okay, this one, next one. The Bellefonte High School class of 1966 would like to honor a fellow classmate, Frank Shabika, with a plaque for his work within the Talleyrand Park. Council may take action and accept or decline the Talleyrand Park Committee recommendation to not allow a plaque to be displayed in the park, but alternatively be hung at the train station or a brick to be added to the pathway. In your packet tonight, there's several exchanges of information as how the Talleyrand Park Committee arrived at their decision-making. So I'm asking council
So-
how, if and how they want to proceed. Yes, sir.
I have some updated information I'd like to share with everybody. Mr. Kerstetter, who originally emailed us, emailed me today saying he'd like to change the amendment, the request to name the suspension bridge after Mr. Shabika.
Oh,
Instead of doing the plaque and the brick or any of those kinds of things, he would like to request the suspension bridge, again, be named after Mr. Shabika, and maybe just do some brochures in place of any kind of plaque.
Okay.
So, again, that just came in
So-
today.
Is that something the Talleyrand Park
That-
Committee has to approve? Do you, your thoughts on that?
It's not something that's a plaque, it's a name of
Yeah.
a bridge. I don't think so. It's new, as far
Mhm.
as my recollection of.
There would not be, let me go ahead and make a motion, and then we can discuss it. But I personally, I think that this would be out of order because it was not on the agenda for this.
All I want you to do is be aware, this person emailed me today. You know, I don't know how if you want to act on this
I think,
action
I think we
item.
can
I think
act
your
on
point is
this.
well taken,
Yes.
that we could add it to the next meeting
Yes.
as an agenda item.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So we have this to
Yes.
reconsider,
Yes.
we can discuss it. We'll make it an action item at our next meeting,
Sure.
and you can be prepared to discuss it
Okay.
at that time.
So based on the current thing before us this evening, I will make a motion to disapprove the freestanding plaque and then suggest that if the Bellefonte High School class wants to, they can create either a plaque to be hung inside the train station or pay for brick or bricks on the brick pathway near the suspension bridge, and it would be their decisions of which one they would like to do.
I don't know how we can do that.
I don't think we need to do it. We have a solution to what we want to try to
There's
do.
there is no agenda item to do that.
No, well, yes, there is. What I'm saying is that we would have this in place, and if whatever happens at the next meeting, if they still want to do this and have a plaque in the train station or a brick, they could still do that. Because it's a separate issue besides naming the bridge.
I was thinking we could make that an option on the next
Can we just do
meeting.
it next time? The
Yeah,
whole
you
thing
can-
next
yeah, you
time?
can do the whole thing. You don't have to act on
Yeah.
this tonight. That's why I
So-
brought it
If
up.
Okay,
if we
then-
have it as an
then-
action item as you
Then
described,
the motion would then have to be to table this.
He could just not
There is
take
no
action.
motion.
No motion.
Just-
No, there is, no, you don't need to.
Yes.
There's nothing for an action item on the
Well,
agenda.
you said, we say you may take action, but you
Okay.
don't have to.
Okay,
That's our
Yeah,
point.
okay.
okay.
Sure.
Either way, it's going to be next meeting, and we'll have both options as an action item.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's this man's health? Does anyone know?
Other than what was first reported, you know, it doesn't sound very good. I think an email's a.
So that's kind of why I would like to do this just in case, because if it's 2 weeks from now, is that at least he knows that some action was being taken.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Well, we haven't taken an action.
Well, no,
We've asked that it be put on the next agenda. Either,
Fine,
so
whatever.
we sort of have taken an action to,
But there's no guarantee that he'll still be alive at the next meeting.
That's all I'm saying, is that at least he'll know that we've taken some positive action for him. And
Yes.
then, when we come to the next one, Kurt Stetter and his group could then present this alternative idea, and we could deal with that then. But meanwhile, there's something already in place.
it seems to me that that decision was already made by that committee not to follow through with their original thought, with the
Okay, I think.
pavers and things, but they want to put it on the bridge. And they've solved that problem for us. They took that away, and they
So-
want to have his name added to the bridge.
I think
It's that
this is,
simple.
I think this is out of order, because no one seconded my motion. This whole
Then why are we talking about
There's
it?
no request for a motion, Joanne. It's
I-
not on the agenda.
Well, I made a motion, no one seconded it, and then we
But that
start
would've been
having
something that was
discussion.
added to the agenda.
Therefore, but no one seconded, so with this, we need to stop the discussion because nobody seconded the
I
motion.
was trying to explain to you why we're adding it to the next agenda. Okay, we'll move on. New business. Request for alternative fuels tax memo. Motion and the second to increase the EV charging station costs from $2 an hour to $3 an hour to cover the cost of the alternative fuel tax.
I'll make that motion for now.
I'll second it.
Second, thank you.
That was Purnell and Dan.
Discussion on this.
Yes, so we received this letter from the Department of Revenue with the state saying that we need to pay a fee for supplying energy to vehicles, whether it's free or not. We need to pay a fee and go back to 2021. We don't know exactly how much because, the way we calculate things, we don't have a good system for that. Even, we weren't charging. So it's going to be difficult to figure out how many users were there and that type of thing. But, the information we put in your materials, and it be very clearly read over it. It says even if, because I thought maybe if we weren't charging, we would be exempt. And it very clearly says whether there any transaction, pay per kilowatt, pay per time or minutes, or free charging, taxes owed regardless of the transaction. So we are considered an alternative fuel dealer, and it applies to us because the public uses these EV stations. Nobody, nowhere ever mentioned that this would be coming when we got the grants, when there was discussions about grants to get the EV stations. Nowhere was this ever mentioned.
I have a question. Wouldn't the electric bills generally have been standard for all the time that the parking lots were in existence? But then when you added the EV charger, if there was a bump, then you could tell maybe if somebody was using.
There's some of our lots, and I don't know exactly which ones, I don't have the details fresh in my mind. We added meter sockets because that was the only way to add the EV stations. those are a little bit easier. There's a monthly demand charge, and then there's electricity charge. That's easy to figure out, but I can't tell you how many vehicles went through there.
You're right, Rita. We're gonna have to just go on kilowatts. That's how, we're gonna have to go
Yeah.
back and figure that out somehow.
So-
Yes.
Which I think we can do based on historical.
And as I said, my husband did do a 2-month study to see how often they were used. And he never sent it in because you had made the decision to increase the prices at that point, but he still has it if you still want it.
We just simply look back at the kilowatt hours as best we can. The other EV stations are tied into our street lights. We're talking about for our parking lots. So it's, depending on, the time of the year and those, we'll try to figure out if it's a little bit higher than usual, how much higher. So that's why it's going to be difficult.
So,
Hey, Don, did we repair or replace a couple of these EV chargers in the last 12 months or so? I remember we voted on it, and it was
4 of them twice.
6, 7,000? Was that about right? Right in that range, like
ballpark.
$4,000 to $7,000, which we would have to pull from a fund or extra money we had somewhere that.
Parking fund.
Parking fund. We got a little bit of a discount on them, but
Yeah.
I mean, we still had to,
So, I
they
mean,
blew out
if
twice.
increasing this to $3 from $2 allows us to have
That's
a
not-
slush fund or.
The extra $1 is just gonna cover this.
Well, but we're not sure
alternative tax
exactly. I mean, it may
and
not be-
administration
Yeah.
of it.
so,
We're, hold on, Joanne.
yeah,
Somebody else can
I
talk.
stopped.
If $3 isn't right, if we vote on that tonight and it turns out, oh my, we needed more, or if $3 is more than enough to cover what we figure out, which is gonna take a long time, and a lot of your time, that money, that extra money could then maybe be used for something like that, for the next time a meter gets damaged, right? I'm just trying to see if that's something that.
Actually, I think the $3 can, right now, we're basing it just on the estimate that it's gonna cover the cost of parking, the $1 an hour for parking, $1 for the electricity, and $1 for the tax, and now we gotta do reports monthly.
Okay.
Yes. So
Well,
we're
now
sending-
that you explain it that way.
Well, yes, we can't keep
Maybe we
that
should bump it to
extra-
5.
Yeah, we can't-
Okay.
can't
Yeah,
keep
I mean,
extra
If it
dollars.
turns out that it isn't, if we
Sure.
turn out that it isn't covering the
Sure.
cost, then we'll come back to you.
And nobody
and
wants
bump
to,
it.
yeah, all right.
So
Thank
what
you.
I was going to say was I looked at your memo, and you had requested a 50-cent an hour increase, not a $1 an hour increase. I'd rather, just as we've done with other fees throughout the borough, is start at the 50% as you suggested, and then going forward, if we find out that we do need to increase the fees, we can do that, just like we have done with other fees everywhere else in the borough, to start off by immediately doubling this price when we don't have the information. And and Don had made an initial request for 50 cents. I'm fine with that, but I am not willing to vote for $1 when we have had a policy of starting at a lower price, making sure that we're okay.
I didn't, when I did that, I didn't cover the cost of did you see the paperwork for the reporting? I didn't put any cost in there for admin. That was just to cover the tax itself. That's why I'm saying
I'm still going to
$3.
vote no because after reading your report. I think 50 cents is reasonable. I think $1 immediately is high.
How long ago did we set the $2 fee?
Well, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and it went up another $1.
And we haven't even put the meters in yet.
Yeah.
They're not even installed. We're still working with the manufacturer to get them
Probably be the
delivered.
first of the year before this is
Yeah,
effective.
the poles have to be physically put in the ground, the meters need to come in.
The state's looking to recover some of the lost revenue from no fuel tax that EVs go. So they're taxing us as a supplier, which I understand why they're doing it. It makes perfect sense.
So when would this go into effect if it's passed tonight? Would it be the first of the year? Or?
Probably. It depends on when the meters come in.
When the meters come in and we get them installed, they'll already be programmed when they're delivered, but I don't know how long. We've ordered them and we've been working back and forth with the manufacturer, the company, I mean, I'm on the phone with them almost every day.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Miss Clayton,
Yes.
Miss Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Miss McKean,
Yes.
Miss Purnell,
Yes.
Miss Sedgwick,
Yes.
Miss Tosti Vasey.
No.
Okay. Joe Mazzola Memorial Park, installation of a dusk to dawn streetlight for better visibility. I'm looking for a motion and a second for staff to contact West Penn Power about installing a dusk to dawn streetlight in the Joseph Mazzola Memorial Park.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Deb.
Dan and Clayton.
Discussion.
Yes, is this going to be like the street light on Lynn Street or the ones on High Street where we had to pay $300,000?
No, it's just, it's
It's
a
like-
arm.
Yeah, an arm with a light that goes on by the photo cell.
Yeah.
Goes off automatically.
Yeah, I don't think there's, in the past, I don't think they charge us for that. We just get charged for the electricity.
Yeah,
Is there a need for it? I mean,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah, it
just
gets very dark there.
people in the park or near, maybe around dusk.
and safety factors. And it's not, it's not near any home.
Okay.
That it wouldn't cause
So,
somebody to
is
fall
this-
asleep.
I'm thinking about the birds again. So this is a down pointing light so
Yes.
that we don't do light pollution for
Yeah.
them?
Yes.
Okay.
There's already a pool there. There's
Okay.
power there. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bernier,
Yes.
Mr. Brackbill,
Yes.
Miss Clayton,
Yes.
Miss Dan,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Miss McKean.
Yes.
Miss Purnell.
Yes.
Miss Sedgwick.
Yes.
Miss Tosti Vasey.
Yes.
Last item, council member comments for the good of the order. Randy, do you have something for us?
No, not this evening, thanks.
Okay. Rita?
Two things. I mentioned last meeting about the free tire collection event. I actually ended up going, and if any of you guys have ever gone to any of their events, they run those things so smoothly. It actually took me longer to get there than it did for me when I got to the front to go back and empty. It's like I had my own pit crew back there. They're just like flinging tires out of the back of the truck, and I'm in and out of there in no time. So
Very nice.
highly recommend. They did a great job.
Very good.
That's good news, because I always hear people say, I wish they made it easier for us to
Oh
get
my
rid of our
gosh,
tires,
super
you know?
easy.
And that's good to know. I've never been to one.
Yeah, and I see we have a croquet tournament coming up this weekend at the park, it looks like, right?
I believe so.
Sunday.
Yes, it's a chamber, sponsored by the chamber.
Yeah.
And Friday in the font, too. So.
Yep. Along with that croquet tournament, borough staff has been communicating with the turf that was disturbed maybe a year and a half ago. And the gentleman is slowly proceeding with reseeding that. And we're very thankful for that to be progressing along. So that's helpful for the croquet tournament someday in the future, I hope. Deborah?
Yes, I was just going through the archives and wondered if the borough has ever done anything or followed through on the junior council person program. I'm just thinking, given the political climate these days and the aging electorate, well, those of us who have been elected to positions, that we need to encourage the next generation to get involved at whatever level and understand what's involved in being an elected official and what it takes to.
I know
to administer.
we're just starting a new school year. Rita, if you could maybe
I can reach
get
out
the
again.
word
I
out. Sure.
did that last time and I
Sure.
didn't get much response on
I
it.
know
so.
we've struggled to really connect or whatever, but we're certainly interested in that opportunity.
It just seemed like the timing was right. The school year,
Yes.
school year is starting, and next year is going to be a major election.
Anything else, Deb?
That's it.
Thank you. Joanne?
Yeah, I have 6 items on the goal and action listing. Some are questions, some are things I think need to be updated. The first one is the Zion Road stoplight. I think it needs to be updated to note that the engineer has completed the plan, which was in our packet this evening, but we're waiting for the school district and PennDOT to determine if the roadways need to be aligned. Need to hire an engineer for the design has already happened. The second one is just below that on the sprinkler and elevator installation. I think we need to add that the sprinkler system is on hold and the elevator is in process of being installed with an expected end date for the elevator. The next one just below that is the grind all stumps in the right-of-ways. And my question is, have the stumps been ground yet, and if not, when?
They have not been ground yet, and we don't, it likely isn't gonna happen this year, Joanne.
Probably next, okay.
I think to add to that, it's it's sort of a low priority in the staffing assignments.
Yeah.
So
I know we
think-
bought the stump grinder, so I was wondering if we.
Yeah, I think-
Well, we've used it, I mean, not that we haven't done any, the guys have been working on the ones out at Governor's Park. We probably have about 35 stumps out there. So they've been kind of trying to work on those. They were at least early in the spring.
Okay,
It's good training for them as well.
okay. The next, when you flip it over to the next page, we have the Promote the LERTA program, and I'm wondering, how are we promoting this?
Well, it's usually pretty much word of mouth, like I just worked with, the folks Randy's been working with here in town. But we would like to try to do better. We have information on our website, but so far that's the extent of it right now.
Any suggestions, Joanne, to get it out there even more than what we're doing?
I don't know, there might be using some of our social media, put it periodically on the Facebook or the Twitter, so that they know that it's available, because some people will use that rather than, and we can put it in our newsletter next year.
Yeah.
Again, I know we
absolutely.
did it last past
Yeah.
spring, but it would be helpful to repeat
Okay.
it. The next one is the lighted crosswalks, and it says waiting on a cost estimate. I'm just wondering, has there been any update on the estimate to get the lighted crosswalks?
We're still waiting on that estimate. We're looking at possibly putting something in the budget once we have that estimate.
Do you know which part of the budget that would go into?
It'd probably be either streets or street lighting.
Okay, so that may be something to give to Lori, to ask her to look out for the street lighting.
That's where it would go. The estimate goes to Lori, yes.
Okay. And the last one is very similarly related, and that's the Wood Street stormwater issue. And you said we received the design in March of 2023. Is this going to be considered as part of the '24 budget, and if so, in the streets, the water, or capital improvement
It
budget?
should be done this year if everything falls into place. They're looking
But by the end of this year?
yes.
Okay.
So would be in our '23 budget, nothing in '24.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
I think you're right, Ralph, and actually, I think the storm drains are to be delivered here in a week or so, and that's gonna get started, which is what delayed the street paving project, because McAllister's on the list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to Matt, that's in process.
Oh, and there's one tiny, and this is just a typo, on the staff crosswalks in downtown, on your notice is through commercial, should say throughout commercial district. But that helps make this a little more up to date. Thank you.
Great. Anything else?
Nope.
Mary?
Pass.
Don?
I got a couple items.
Okay.
Joanne mentioned, since the street paving's delayed a little bit because of the Wood Street project, Parkview Heights project, we're having a pre-construction meeting next week. I suspect they'll start that project in October. The Spring Street CDBG portion of the streetscape project will begin at also probably, they should be mobilizing maybe next week, and I think they'll begin no later than the first week of October. We've talked to all the businesses there, so we're good to go. Sign at the Armory, Victorian Signs, we're working with them. I think Bob's been having some health issues, so it's kind of delayed that, but he's got the holes ready for the sign. I don't know when he'll have it installed, but I suspect it will be soon. We met with DEP here about a week ago to talk about getting a permit to block off the raceway over in Logan Branch that runs under the American Philatelic Society. We did receive a permit for the wastewater treatment plant work along the stream, and we also finally received the land development plan that they were working on for us for Musser Lane. Matt's going to begin looking at installing the building down there sometime, but it probably won't occur until early next year now.
Does that go through planning commission?
It went, I don't think it
Goes
will
through
be good
Spring
at Spring
Township.
Township.
It's out in Spring Township.
And we've already gone through the whole process with them on the
Okay.
land development plan.
The Parkview Heights project is the stormwater down at the bottom of the
Hardwood Road.
Yeah, that goes down to the Teener pit.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't confused. It was the light closet. I have nothing.
Our office just received the land development plan for the elementary school. That'll be going to the planning commission soon. We know that the traffic studies are not finished, so they can start reviewing, the planning commission can review the plan, but they won't be able to make any recommendations until we receive the traffic studies. It's Airport Road, Governor's Park Road, and of course Zion Road, which has an effect on, may have an effect on the traffic light at Parkview and Zion. And so we did sit in on a meeting that their engineer, the school's engineer, held or put together. The meeting involved PennDOT officials. There were some changes that the school's engineer made to the driveways out there along Airport Road and Governor's Park Road. And it seemed like there was maybe a concern enough that the plan had to be redone, or they might have to go through a public comment period to satisfy PennDOT's requirements. That's kind of how we left the meeting. We were just kind of attendees there, but we'll try to keep you up to date on how that's moving, what PennDOT's saying about road access. We mentioned Bellefonte's list we put together maybe 6 months ago, or maybe I think it was back in February. We talked about a roundabout as an option at Governor's Park and Airport Road. We talked about, probably a traffic light needed to be put in at Airport and Zion Road. But all those comments are now in the hands of PennDOT, as they were before. But, we resent them, and the engineer is working on this project. But we intend to keep you in the loop as it moves forward.
Anything else? Barb?
I noticed in your report you have Pennsylvania Highlands Community College is still trying to get established in Bellefonte. This would be such an important part of our community. Is there anything, and I know that they're being held up with the space that they want and who they're dealing with. Is there anything we can do as a council or as a community to help support this going forward?
We have tried, and they know we're trying. They know we're supportive. They're still looking. They're still optimistic. And I think they know that we're 100% behind them. They're looking, they mainly on the east end of town, but since they ran into some roadblocks, they're looking more even downtown, maybe around the Match Factory, some other places they hadn't thought about. But they're, another item, not only just access or space, costs, everything with inflation, things are way up. Remodeling, building new, it's just very expensive. But they're still looking, so I think we're still looking to have them here maybe by next fall in some capacity, so it's still positive.
Yeah, parking would have to be one of their biggest concerns. You would think.
Parking,
I mean, I don't know how many students would attend a college like that,
Well,
but I would love to see them in the Weiss building, but you think, is that parking lot,
I think that was their
that's a
first.
big issue for
That was their
them, I'm
number
sure,
one
yeah.
choice, but they couldn't.
Love to have them down at the Match Factory, but where would all those kids park?
It depends. Evening, if the evening is not as busy as during the day, it might work. But they just ran into some obstacles.
Maybe even the old Black Walnut body shop down here that doesn't appear to be
Past Maria's?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for some
They're
rehab.
looking,
Yeah, yeah,
we-
yeah.
Yeah, so they're still working the
They're
Bellefonte
still
area.
working,
Yeah,
yes.
good.
Yes.
Good.
Good to know, thank you.
Sure.
What about the old Center Crest building? Are they doing anything?
We
with that?
mentioned that in one of our conversations, because we were with one of the county commissioners, and he said there is space that's undesignated or whatever, so that they're aware of that possibility.
Anything else, Barb?
That's all, thank you.
Joanna?
So next Thursday, the 28th, is the Bellefonte Homecoming Parade. So Allegheny, Bishop Street. Make a note, put it in your car or in your lunchbox, so if you live on one of those routes, that you take an alternate route home from work. So you're not sitting and making angry laps around other blocks to get home. It only took one time for me to be sitting and angrily driving around blocks trying to get home. To remember that this comes up the end of September every year. So make a note for yourself, and also to go out and support the students during their homecoming parade.
Great, thank you. John? Nothing?
Who is Bellefonte playing in?
Bald Eagle,
That's incorrect.
they're playing Bald Eagle for the homecoming game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's got Cleveland.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I like saying that's incorrect so much that I just blurted that out.
I know you
I'm
love
not
saying-
correcting myself,
you love
because it
saying
still was fun to do. That's incorrect. I don't have anything.
So, can we come
Yes,
back to
ma'am.
me, because there was something I forgot.
Of course.
Going back to your question about how else to do the LERTA, I think maybe asking DBI and the Chamber of Commerce to advertise it in some of their materials would be helpful, because they're the ones that are talking to the businesses.
Yeah.
The other thing is this Thursday, from 5:30 to 7 in room 114 of the Katz Law Building. Chad Lassiter, the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, is coming to Center County to do one of his 67 county listening tours on concerns of discrimination and tension in the county. So if anyone is interested, whether you're here or in public, please drop by. He and a couple of the commissioners will be available to listen to what you have to say.
Good, thank you, Joel. Looking for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
And
I'll second.
Thank you.
McKean.
For adjourn.